We are moving to another very important trading week with FOMC and most likely a 25 BP cut. While also, if we look at the past NFP, we have seen there was a significant drop in non-farm employment change to 22K while the forecast was 75K, while also consumer sentiment, unemployment claims as well rose to 263K. So all those data has in fact putting pressure on DXY, and as a result we have seen past week as well DXY pretty bearish. We saw that after the previous weekly bearish doji, this week as well the market has printed weekly candlestick pattern. Now looking at the intraday time frame on DXY, we can see there is a series of lower low and lower high. Now in this market structure, we can see that this series of lower low is non-linear. We can see the market is dropping with a curved series of lower low. What I think that the market may not be able to directly break that low, as there is liquidity required for this market to break. And if we look at this series of lower high here, we can see the market maintaining smooth series of lower high, and then there has been an imbalance in that area. So the possibility for DXY with the beginning of the week to bounce back is higher, as there is an imbalance in the market. And what I think that from this channel we could see at some point the market to break and then continue to drop here to this monthly support level. So this is one probability for DXY initially bounce back to the upside. Now it also depends on the upcoming FOMC. If the rate cut become very certain, then we might see even over the weekend gap open and the market continue to drop. Depending on how the market open also is very important. So this could be the scenario on DXY for this upcoming week. And based on that, if we look at British pound US dollar, we can see that British pound US dollar also maintaining here an uptrending market structure. If we look at the daily chart, that you can see the price from the daily perspective, there's a daily impulse here followed by sideways market. And what we see that in this market here is maintaining series of higher low on the daily perspective on GBPUSD. And at the same time, if we look at the intraday perspective, we could see what I think that the market to break this previous liquidity zone. This is the 4-hour time frame, and we have seen there was a back-to-back 2 steps liquidity grab in this zone here. And after this kind of liquidity grab, in most cases we see the market aggressively continue to rise, as the price couldn't break that high. Instead we saw that it again dropped down here. That means we couldn't see that there wasn't a stronger bullish impulse here. So that signals that British pound US dollar might come down here for a deeper pullback, as this back-to-back 2 liquidity grab couldn't break that high. Instead, British pound US dollar started to move in a sideways. It may require now deeper liquidity grab, and we potentially could see that British pound US dollar coming back here to break any of this important support before it bounce back to the upside here. And we can see that confirmation from the multiple time frame. If we look at the monthly chart here on GBPUSD, we can see that this is the monthly price action, where this is the monthly low, and as the price approaching the previous monthly high here on GBPUSD, to break that previous monthly high, definitely it requires a stronger push back to the upside here. And to gain that momentum, we might see now what I think the deeper pullback here. So that is also aligning with the lower time frame market structure that expecting. Now if we look at the weekly chart, there's a weekly doji formation here, which is pretty stronger bounce from the weekly. And what we can see here from the weekly perspective, this is the weekly triple top here on GBPUSD, expecting the market to potentially come back here to fill that zone, then to return again back to the upside here. Now if we look at the daily chart, what we can see from the daily time frame on British pound US dollar, this is the daily price action where the market structure is significantly in this area bullish. Now at the same time we can see that there is a series of lower high. The market from this resistance line, we saw there was a big drop, followed by the price crossed that high and drop back down again, and now the market is approaching the same level of resistance. Therefore, before it potentially break here, we could see that another wave of drop potentially to grab deeper liquidity. Now from the 4-hour perspective here, that you can see this is the previous swing low here, and as the market couldn't break that resistance line in the past, what we could see that on GBPUSD the price to break that low and then continue to trend. That this could be the potential wave. As I mentioned earlier, guys, how the market opens also very important, depending on how also the fundamental coming. We will keep you posted, more update and educational analysis that I'm posting every day. Now let's look at the euro dollar to see what kind of trading opportunity we might have. Now as we see that on GBPUSD and euro dollar, the same kind of pattern we can spot here. Euro dollar initially created an impulse here, followed by this correction, and we can see another impulse, followed by the market again has broken back below. We saw that on euro dollar as well, 2 steps liquidity grab in this area, and after back to back 2 steps liquidity grab in this zone, the market started to move in a sideways. Here what we see that the market potentially to break that low and then revert back again to the upside. This could be the potential wave on euro dollar along with GBPUSD, and also we can spot this trend line here on euro dollar, and that trend line we could see that break. As if we look at this resistance here, we can see that whenever the price was approaching that resistance in the past, there is a breakdown to the trend line, and also multiple times the market whenever approaching that resistance line, after creating and push back, it start to drop again. So here to break that resistance, we might see potentially another wave of drop, as there is a new opening. What I think euro dollar may initially try to break below, which is just a mirror of DXY, before it potentially bounce back to the upside here. Now Aussie dollar, that we can see in the same way the market is approaching that level. If we look at the monthly chart here on AUD/USD, we can see that this is the monthly price action, and as expected, this market also maintaining a bullish market structure here, and this current monthly candle is also bull market, that we can see. And with this bullish market structure, the price, if you look at here, you can see this is a previous monthly swing high. The price managed to break to the upside completely, and now it's in this zone. It is in an high, quite a few months high here. Now what I think that this month, as we are approaching to the 3rd week of the month, we could see that pullback before it push back to the upside again. Now looking at the weekly price action here on AUD/USD, we can see that from the weekly time frame, this is the weekly price action where there is weekly impulse followed by this correction from double bottom, and the market completely managed to break to the upside with a one single move here on AUD/USD. And what we can see, this market potentially to be, if you look at here, you can see it has broken the previous swing high here. So what we can expect on AUD/USD for the market to pull back and then to continue to trend again to the upside here. Now looking at daily chart, what we can see that from the daily perspective, this is the daily doji, another impulse here, and here is a stronger move, pullback, another move, deeper pullback. The market is maintaining this series of higher high and higher low, where there is a daily doji here in that area, expecting the market to potentially pull back here to this support level where there is a previous important support. And if we look at the intraday perspective from the 4-hour chart here, we can see it's a bullish trend continuation, like euro dollar and British pound US dollar. But I think AUD USD may possibly to break that trend line here. That's where it potentially could gain momentum for further upside, though it is still maintaining this uptrending market structure. Either if we see a very stronger momentum, we might see straight continuation back to the upside, depending on the price action confirmation in that area. The other probability is the market to possibly break that low and then to potentially continue to trend here to create a new higher high in this market. So let's look at now on gold. Guys, you have seen that past week gold was more than expectation. It was pretty volatile. If you look at the weekly market here on gold, we can see that back to back now 4th week gold bullish, followed by weekly close with a long wick at the top, which is still maintaining an uptrending market structure, where this is the previous weekly high here and this is the previous weekly low here. And what we could see now, what I think the market possibly to initially drop here, one probable scenario as back-to-back 4 weeks bullish move, we might see here deeper pullback from the weekly, which is a very healthy trending market structure. Could be once we see the market is maintaining that uptrend here. Now looking at daily chart, if we closely look at it, you can see there was a pretty sharp daily bullish impulse, followed by one long week on the daily with a pretty long doji. And here we can see that past week was in this area with this daily breakup structure. Whenever it is breaking from this key level of support, the market is getting that rejection back to the upside on the daily. Now what we can see that this current daily last day of trading week, we saw in both situations the bulls are in control. Now if we look at this daily candle, we can see that there is a long wick here which is bullish buying pressure, followed by also we can see that a bullish candle with a healthy bullish body. So there could be two probable scenario now on gold, as the market could move in the beginning with the FOMC could moving in a sideways, or we could see the market to test and then to bounce back to the upside here. Now that we can see from the intraday perspective from 4-hour chart here, how the market is moving. As if you guys look at it, you can see this is the market is maintaining a lower low here, and at the same time also it's a sharply bull market. What I think the market in the beginning, we could see deeper liquidity grab and potentially to drop back to fill that imbalance here, as in the intraday we see some ranging market in this area. Now to break out from that range, the market need deeper liquidity, and if we look at here, you can see that it's maintaining that series of lower low. We might see the price to first fill that imbalance before it bounce back to the upside here on gold. And from that perspective, looking at the lower time frame here on gold, we can see the market in this lower time frame from the 1 hour perspective moving in a sideways. This is a range bound market with a triangular pattern formation, expecting to initially drop in that zone before it bounce. And I don't think the market will be able to straight be bullish here without breaking that low, as it left a bigger imbalance in that area. And also there is a sharp resistance. We can see very sharp rejection here as well. So therefore in the beginning of the week we could see that potentially downtrend continuation, and therefore lower time frame price action could be we will be looking for potential selling opportunity once the price action confirms here in this market. So this is the potential wave for gold for the upcoming week. depending on also guys that the price action, how it confirms is very important to see if the market is showing that price action confirmation in this market. So based on that, we will be looking for entry opportunity in the beginning of the week as well as throughout the week. How the market also doing, we will be posting more analysis and update during the trading week. Now let's look at GBPUSD to see what kind of trading opportunity we have. Now looking at monthly chart on GBPUSD, we can see that from the monthly perspective, this is the monthly price action on GJ, and in this monthly price action we can see that it's currently showing bullish market. Starting with this monthly long wick candlestick pattern, the market is maintaining that bullish market structure. First 2 weeks we saw significantly bullish. If we look at the low of this monthly candlestick pattern on GJ, we can see that there wasn't any effort from the seller here, very narrow wick. So that means any pullback is a potential opportunity to go long in this market. If we look at the weekly chart, we can see a weekly doji with a gap open here, and this weekly candle, as we expected in the previous week as well, to fill that long wick. The market has done that. But I think this week the market still could maintain that bullish market structure. We might see in the beginning initial pullback. That pullback could be the market to fill that long wick or the gap and then continue to rise back to the upside here. Now looking at daily chart here on GJ, we can see that from the daily perspective, the market is maintaining that smooth uptrending market structure. We can see the price is maintaining that series of higher low, and where this is the daily bullish candle with a long wick at the top. And if we look at, we can see series of higher low. What we can expect here, the market to fill that zone and then continue to rise back to the upside here. Now from the 4-hour chart here that we can see, this is the intraday perspective on GJ, where what we can see in this area, this is an impulse followed by this correction, impulse followed by, we can see the market is maintaining that deeper correction here. Now this is the previous support level on GBPJPY. This is also an important support level, as we can see the market is trending with maintaining that series of higher high and higher low, and at the same time the market approach this resistance line, which is in fact very higher price. If we look at the monthly again, we can see this price almost quite a few months high. So what I think that the market may require here deeper pullback. So therefore GJ may potentially drop down for a deeper pullback and then to continue to rise back here to create a new high. This could be the potential wave on GBPJPY for the upcoming week. Now dollar yen, if we look at the monthly chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the monthly, this is previous monthly, we saw pretty bearish rejection here. Now this month the market maintained this higher low, and with this maintaining this higher low from a monthly long wick. Now what we can see, this is where a key support level, where the market maintained this long wick, and what we can expect here, what I think the price to test that low on the monthly and then to bounce back up here with a long wick candle in this area. So if we look at the weekly chart, from the weekly on dollar yen, we can see that there is a series of higher low here. Okay, so with this series of higher low, this is a long wick, and expecting that the market to potentially to bounce here to create a new higher high. So here is the weekly liquidity graph in this market. Quite a few weeks low broken, and then the candle closed above with a long wick, expecting that dollar yen to retest and then to trend back here to create a new higher high in this market. Now looking at the daily chart here on dollar yen, we can see that from the daily perspective, this is the daily price action where series of higher low, with pretty sharp long wick pin bar here. If you guys look at it, you can see it's a big long wick pin bar, and that pin bar is if you look at quite a few days, low is broken. The candle closed above with a sharp rejection, and that is where the market potentially could go back up here. And in this market there is a significant imbalance also to the upside, and the market grabbing liquidity from this support, which is a sign that dollar yen may potentially to bounce back up. So from the 4-hour perspective, as if you guys look at it, you can see maintaining series of higher low, and also this breakdown is a push back to the upside with a stronger momentum. And what we can see that this market potentially to retest and then reject back again to the upside here. This could be the potential wave on dollar yen, and we can expect for the market to continue to rise here to create a new higher high. This could be the wave on dollar yen in this upcoming week, or we might see if it is maintaining that series of higher low. If we see that the market is not being able to break that high, we could see a range in that area, which is pretty big area that you could see the market might move in this range, which is still maintaining potentially an uptrending market structure. Now, looking at BTC USD, that past week we saw that Bitcoin was pretty bullish. We have seen that this is a long-term bull market, but quite a few weeks pullback, which the market gained momentum again. Weekly close from this 20 EMA, a bullish candlestick pattern with a long wick at the top on BTC USD. We might see this market to potentially trend here to create a new higher high in this market. Now, looking at the monthly chart on BTC USD, we can see that this is the monthly price action where a monthly support, which is, if you look at here, you can see it crossed this low and rejected back to the upside. With this rejection here, the market, what I think that potentially continue to rise here to create a new higher high in this market. If we look at the weekly chart, where weekly bullish candlestick pattern, what we could see the market potentially on BTC USD to trend here to create a new higher high in this market. So if you look at the daily chart, what we can see from the daily time frame, this is the daily price action, and double bottom here, a bounce pullback. The market is maintaining this series of higher high and higher low on the daily perspective here on BTC USD. And what we could see from the 4-hour chart here, the market potentially to trend and then continue to rise here to create a new higher high in this market. So as the market is maintaining this uptrending market structure, creating series of higher high and higher low, we could see that on BTC USD for the market to trend, break that low, and then continue to trend here to create a new higher high in this market. This could be the potential wave on BTC USD, and we might see the market is trending in that direction for long-term picture. Traders, I hope that you guys enjoyed this education and analysis for this weekly upcoming week. And if you enjoyed, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.